Listen to the radio. Harry and Edna's Wireless Show. You heard it from the Three Bells.
Whatto, welcome. It's Harry and Edna on the wireless, and you've just been listening to, I have to say, it's Hello Lola, played by the Mound City Blue Blowers. That's the sort of act we want at number one these days.
I don't think I've ever heard of them before, have you?
No, it's one of those weird tracks that I just located in the record collection and thought, we have to have a play of that one. Because you stick it on not knowing what on earth it's going to sound like, and it sounded like that. And that was absolute tippity-tonk, tippity-doo. Right, going to try something completely new on you today. Something we've never done before. If you follow us on social media, you'll have a little indication of what's going to go on. I was rather seriously ill the last 3 days.
No, he wasn't.
I was. So much so.
You had a cold, Harry. It was just a cold. It was nothing more than that. It was just a cold.
No.
It's a cold.
No.
Yes.
You don't understand.
No, I don't understand why you're making it bigger than a cold.
It's a man cold.
Just a cold.
There's nothing worse than a man cold. So much so, I haven't had time to edit down the interview with the artist we're meant to feature for this wonderful show. So I didn't have time to do it.
Well, you felt too poorly sick.
I was too poorly sick. I was lying there waiting for someone to bring me chicken soup and stroke my brow and say, baby there, but no, you didn't come up.
No, because I was reading in our 1930s What to Do If It's Catching book, and they said I have to quarantine you, which is what I did. I shut you in a room and left you to it.
Just me and my radio, me and the wireless.
And a bottle of water, just to keep you quenched.
So, sadly, I didn't get a chance to edit down the interview, because believe it or not, the Harry and Edna of the Wireless is an hour-long show. If it's the podcast, it's obviously a bit smaller, shorter, because we don't have the music in it. And it probably takes about 4 hours to write, edit, and record. So I just didn't have that amount of time I could stay conscious for.
You do make it sound far worse than it really was.
It was a
you
man
do like
cold.
to elaborate, don't you, and embellish. It was just a cold, dear listener.
Yeah. So what I asked our wonderful listeners and our chums on social media was, we thought maybe we'd do a Q&A where people message us and said you could ask us anything about vintage scene or whatever. And we've got some questions. I'll be honest, they didn't have long to respond because it was sort of like, what am I going to do? And I said, let's just do this. So we've got a few questions, so we shall go through those. I should also say, because of we record the show and then but it pretty much goes out live because we try and do it in one take. This has to be one take today.
Yeah.
Because when this is finished, it's pretty much got to go straight out live.
Yes.
On the radio.
So no bloopers or errors.
If there is, you're going to hear it. And unfortunately, just before I went down with
a cold,
the lurgy.
A cold.
Yeah, and I actually rearranged the studio, and I'm not sure if it is all working. Well, and I have a fear that there's a little hum going on. So if you hear a hum, it meant I didn't wire it up properly.
But the nice thing is that Harry and I now face each other. So we don't turn away and talk to each other, which was how we used to... Well, it was the old setup, wasn't it? It didn't work.
Well, this is how we did it when we first set it up.
Yeah.
And then there was the coronavirus lockdown.
Yeah.
And this had to turn... The studio had to turn into a study for the children to do their schooling. And so we had to rearrange the furniture, and that's why we couldn't face each other. But now that's...
Not that we couldn't face each other in that sense.
But now they're no longer doing homeschooling.
Yeah.
They've gone back to school.
We decided we could face each other again.
We rearranged it, and we changed some of the equipment around. We had a rummage in the skip, and we found some bits of equipment we could use because we believe in reuse. We
Indeed.
are not the squander bug. Fight the squander bug.
We were making do and mending, weren't we?
1940s ethics. The trouble is sometimes it hums and it doesn't always work. In fact, one of the reasons we were so desperately late today is because some of the software we're supposed to use wasn't running properly, and I had to
fiddling.
Yeah, because we're running on a machine that I think is about 15 years old.
Oh, it was nostalgia. It came out the loft, got dust down, and then decided to do a Windows update, which took 2 hours.
It took longer than that. So it took a while.
Anyhow.
Anyway, so we're going to do some Q&As, and we're going to go down memory lane.
Probing us with your
in-depth
questions.
We're going to probe us away. Yes, the one of the questions was about music, and it's about a track which we won't actually. We'll just play a snippet because it doesn't fit our beautiful vintage scene. Because what we do is take you by the hand and lead you gently through the UK vintage scene. Rather like you're going to have to tell me. I can see it's Benny Goodman. I should also say the machine that plays the music is further away than my glasses will focus, and I can't quite see what
it's called "I've Got My Love to Keep Me Warm."
What ho?
And did you hear that applause? That applause was for the gag you told me, which I went clean over my head.
It did. It was wasted on you, wasn't it?
It was, and I still don't quite get it.
So I said we couldn't face each other. When you say things like that, you mean you don't want to see each other? Like I couldn't face seeing you.
Oh, I see.
You see?
No, but we physically couldn't see each other.
We couldn't face each other. So therefore, it was almost like we couldn't stand each other. When it wasn't. It was we couldn't face each other because we were side by side.
So is there a gag in that?
There was a gag in that. It's lost its momentum now. I've had to explain it several times from different angles.
Yes. Maybe this is a problem in our relationship. And talking of relationships, Julian from Cyprus, yes, we are international. Boom Shankar, how about that? International.
Boom Shankar.
Yes, I've been watching some 90s stuff, some Ali G.
Right.
Do you remember him?
Yes.
Actually, it's quite fitting, really.
Is it?
Can you just talk for a second, because I'm going to cough. And
yes.
you have to do this in one take, excuse me.
I will talk over your coughing. There you go. No, there you go.
Yeah, because going back into our life, we got together in the 90s.
Was it really? No,
yes.
I suppose it was. Gosh,
yes, a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. So much so, when we talk about what music makes you think of us when we got together. Was it got together?
Well, no, should we read Julian's question out?
Okay.
It was, what song best reminds Harry and Edna of when they first met?
Now, I picked this because you were actually trying to fit a staircase, because I'm too ill to do that today.
No, I wasn't fitting a staircase. I'm not a builder. I was, because as you know, dear listener, because we talk about it often, we're restoring our old Victorian house, and we went to put the little stair runner up the middle of the stairs, but unfortunately they've painted white either side and it's all got chipped and it's horrible, and I was lovingly scraping paint off the stairs.
So while you were paint scraping, I had to come up with the answer. And you do know, because I told you just before we went on air. Do you agree with this particular track? Does this remind you of when we first met?
Yes, it does. Yeah. Are you going to explain the context of it?
Or are you
going to do it afterwards? Yeah, play it then, and then explain it afterwards.
Well, yeah, because
it's not 1940s.
It's not 1940s.
So we're warning you now.
I'm warning you now. I'm not going to play it all. I'll probably play no
just
more than
snippet.
What, maximum of 30 seconds.
That's a long time.
Well, maybe less than that, because it's a 90s.
Was it? Well, there's the 90s. I suppose it was early 90s, wasn't it?
It was 90s. I didn't meet you in the 80s.
No, I know, but I didn't know if it was a current song or an old song.
No, it was
we could have
relevant.
liked a song that was like 10 years old.
It wasn't.
Well, that's what I was just asking
In
you.
fact, I played this on a cassette tape.
Yes, in the
when
car.
I first met you, because I drove up in my very tiny Peugeot 106, which is like a micro mini. And I had to spend ages beforehand on our first date thinking, now what sort of music do I play? Because I don't want her to think I'm weird. I want to think I'm cool, but not too weird.
And not too old.
And it was, so I played it. So I'll just play it and then we'll talk about it. Normal service back in about 15 to 20 seconds, literally, because it's a modern track and we don't tend to play modern tracks. But the question was, what was the question again? What song reminds Harry and Edna of when they first met? So when we first met, we weren't into the 40s scene, were we at all?
No.
There's only one.
Desert Island Discs. If you in the UK, we have a radio show called Desert Island Discs where they play music. Where someone goes supposed to be on the desert island and plays their favourite music, but because of the licensing, they can only ever play like 30 seconds.
I know, and you just start to get into a song, and then it fades away, which is a shame.
So do explain, because I'm about to cough again.
Okay,
so do explain.
Because you've got this cold. Basically, Harry and I met when
I'm dying.
We did a reenactment called Sealed Knot, which was English Civil War reenactment. So it was very much
17th century, wasn't it? Cromwells and Roundheads and Cavaliers.
And it was very much the music we would listen to in that kind of social scene, because a lot of them were into that sort of kind of music. But it was in
sort
the
of
beer
folk
tents.
music, isn't
It's
it?
folk music.
It's folk music in a contemporary way, wasn't it? A bit rocky.
Yeah, and there used to be these great big tents that in an evening everyone would congregate in and drink lots of homebrew and beer.
And there'd often be a band, wouldn't there?
Yeah, and they would be sort of
a
playing
band
that
like
sort
that.
of music.
Yeah, and we would all have a dance in period 17th century it's clothes and
hopping away,
and
stage diving.
Well, not really, because used to the ladies there would tend to wear these very full-on dresses.
Corsets.
Yeah, I was thinking for our American friends, think of the sort of like the not as more woolen and basic, but similar to like the sort of Western clothing. Would you say very bustling?
Yeah, like American Civil War style
but
clothing.
less glamorous. It was more
very bland, very wool based.
yeah, and I was there in my fine breeches. That was impressed you.
Yeah, and your little blue coat.
Yeah, so that's
and your bucket boots,
and
but they were later, weren't they?
They were later. So that's where we met. Actually, going on from Julian's question, we met in an organisation called the Seal Knot, which is a reenactment group, and it was English Civil War, 17th century, and that's.
So it's our love of reenacting history that brought us together.
And I played that on our first date when I drove round to young
little
Edna's car, my little white Peugeot 106. I can say that now because I don't make that car anymore. It was many years
and
ago.
You had this fluffy grey top on, and I thought, oh, he looks cute.
and I don't think you even noticed the music I was playing, did you, at the time?
Yeah, it all it all kind of had that sense of, oh, he's all right.
So that was it, and then we then flitted around. We did Seal Knot for about 8-9 years.
No, I don't think it was that long.
I think it was. I went until the year 2000.
No,
I remember
Maisie
that.
was born 2003. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we'd stopped long before Maisie was born, hadn't we?
Yeah.
So maybe.
So I'm guessing. Yeah, about 2000. I think I started. So I must have done about 8 years, I reckon, in it.
Yeah.
And then, but we weren't together then, were we? We knew of each other for about a year.
No, we joined in the summer.
When you say you meant you and your sister?
Yeah, me and my sister joined the summer before, and we got together in the January, if you remember.
So it was like 6 months. We'd known each other 6 months before we went on an official date.
Yes.
Because you were not interested in me.
Already attached to somebody.
You don't say that. No, not that. I'm about to cough.
It's making you cough. It's making you cough, is it?
It's making me cough.
It's all that emotion's making you choke.
But then I wasn't attached, and then you jumped in.
I didn't jump in. You were giving me what you reckoned was vibes of attraction, and I wasn't reading it at all.
So, Julian from Cyprus, you've just caused us to have a bit of a bicker.
Yeah.
Because we both have different versions on how we got together. But that was it. Many years ago. I hate to tell you this, the 90s was a long time ago now. And that's the song. That makes us think. But don't worry, that's the only non-vintage period track we're going to play, because
a lot of our other faves are
because
40s, aren't they?
I mean,
30s, 40s.
Maybe if we get time, we could explain how we got to the 40s, because there used to be a thing called time tarts, and it was a name that was given to people who went through reenacted different periods of history, and we were a bit known for doing that until we settled on our beloved 1940s and didn't move out.
But then a lot of our chums that we were in the Sealed Knot with also flitted around different time periods.
We were all time charts.
We often met up with them in different settings and in different time periods, and that's what, that's fun.
One of my questions is to ask you later on. This is my question to you, was about what's one of your favourite events, and I was thinking of one of mine was a multi-period of different time periods. And do you remember we were in two different periods, so it'd be like English Civil War, and then have to dash around the back and quickly get changed, and then go back on as First World War, and then go back off and get back changed again, and be World War II air raid warden.
But the great
all
thing
in the space of about 3 hours, and people go, "Oh, knew the fella that you?" No, it wasn't me.
It's my brother. But the great thing is, we'd then hang out in the beer tent with a Roman soldier, a German reenactor. I'm trying to think, medieval reenactor.
A whole plethora.
A whole plethora. It was fun.
A whole plethora. Right, it's going to be a lovely day tomorrow, don't you think? And it's Dennis.
What ho?
A bit later on, we're asked for, and we'll talk lead into it about our favourite tracks. And that's one of my contenders. It's not my ultimate favourite track, and it was also our favourite track. And I don't know, is that one of yours? Lovely Day Tomorrow.
It's a nice song. I wouldn't say it was one of my favourites.
Yeah, see, that's one of my definitely taking that to mid-desert island. I am. Right. Another question.
Okay.
Are you going to read this one? I can actually read it because it's quite close to my eyes.
You read it while it's close to your eyes.
Okay. This is from Charles in Surrey. So we've left Cyprus and we've pedalled across the Mediterranean and we're back in dear old Blighty. And he says, because on a social media post, because I filmed it in our studio, saying about do Q&As, and so he says, why don't you do a tour of your setup and like a video? And we probably will. In fact, we want to do more video work. We have two big problems with that. One is we haven't the tripod we use is missing its connection, and I'm too mean to buy one, so I keep going in the pound shop and can't find one.
So hence it's taken weeks, because I just think you've got to admit they just don't have one.
They used to.
Yeah, but they don't anymore.
No, they haven't had one.
End of. It's finished, done.
And the other thing, we do exploit, and I'll let you into a secret, listener, the joy of radio. So much so because we don't always look the best in our 1940s finery.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a pyjama day.
We have, if you go back to a previous show where we had to record, we didn't have to, we wanted to record an interview with the wonderful Greg Poppleton in Australia, and because of the time differences, we were in our pyjamas, and I think he was in his pyjamas ready to go to bed.
Yeah. We had to get up early and extra specially early for it.
Yeah, we did. And so, yes, I think that was the first time ever the Harry Edna on the Wireless was presented while in our PJs.
Yeah. Well, we tried to make our top half look decent, didn't we? And tried to make ourselves look like we just hadn't got out of bed, but we had just got out of bed.
Yeah, and every time there was a track played, it was like gulping gallons of coffee quickly.
Yeah.
Stay awake, stay awake.
Although I would like to show our dear listener our beautiful studio, because I'm so chuffed of it. It was one of those projects, early lockdown, where I just had a strop.
That's
and
it.
Then
during the Corona lockdown, wasn't it? That was it. And it was related to the homeschooling, if I remember.
Yeah, because I also had to do a bit of working from home, and we shared this space with its exposed plaster walls where we'd had some repair work done, and it was full of junk and tents and reenacting stuff, and that was it. It was enough.
We had to walk a certain route through the room, because there was a pathway, and that was it. Everything was like
around the room.
It wasn't quite floor to ceiling, but it was about, I would say, 4 to 5 foot high. The stuff in there, it was, it's high.
Yeah.
And you said, no, that's it.
I've had enough. And then we moved everything out into the living room, and then lived in junk. But then it forced us, which was really good. It forced our hand to sort some stuff out, didn't it?
Yeah, so we'll go into we'll do a video and maybe explain the room.
Yeah,
explain because it's and we don't live in a mansion, so every room has to serve several purposes. So you have a library corner where you like to do your reading.
I like to sit and read.
Where I've never seen you read once in there.
Well,
I've seen our son read in there, but not you.
No, well, I do. I try to be fair. And then you will come and talk to me, and that really defeats the object of me trying to read my book. I'm trying to hang out on my own, and I never achieve it.
And it's also our office space.
Yep.
We have another corner where we have a desk and computer set up, and then in another corner we have the mixing studio. Desk and the recording studio.
And we have a lovely fireplace that we knocked through.
Yeah. Well, it was an original fireplace there. It'd been sealed up, and we bashed out the wall to find. Well, we found the flue and everything under there. We just had to put a new facade in, which was another thing you made me do during lockdown.
Yes.
It's no wonder I'm ill.
Well, no, I couldn't have you sat bored. Not with all these things to do.
But,
anyway,
we do want to do a lot more video stuff.
Yes,
we will have to get dressed up.
And we have at the moment, and we'll have to do it for the recording. We got some nice candles burning in the fireplace, and it looks like there's a little glow. It's lovely.
We do have real fires elsewhere in the house, but this one, because part of the chimney got taken down. But you're desperate for me to put it back up again.
Because the roof needs redoing, and I'm desperate for you to build the stack back up, because we could have the fire going in here.
Well, you could if
you could hear the crackle in the background.
There isn't a fire. There isn't a chimney that goes through the roof. If we set fire to this, we'll set fire literally to the loft space.
Because the chimney
I believe you call them attics in America.
The chimney was taken down to the loft level, but See, it wouldn't take much to build it back up.
So, Charles, you're right. We do want to do a video.
We do.
It all depends when the pound shop gets back the bracket to hold my phone, so I can video us. And we want to do that because we did actually wonder about doing live video broadcasts while we radio broadcast. You see? So we could wave at you and you could see what we all get up to. Right, quickly. Well, we better quickly play another track. Oh, it's another one of my faves.
Yeah.
Don't know what is it one of yours or not?
Yeah, I like this one.
Okay, who is it then?
It's Heart and Soul by Hoagie Carmichael.
What ho?
You.
That was Heart and Soul by Hoagie Carmichael.
Now, you told me not to explain the story that I always explain when I say that. So you have to listen to a previous show to find out that. Other than the fact, we only discovered that from about 3-4 years ago, and because there's a whole story behind it, and we found it in our collection, and it's one of my all-time faves again. I do love that song.
You're really going to struggle with this next question, aren't you?
Which
is a question coming from Sarah. What is your all-time favourite track?
Well, you tell them yours, because we have to actually agree on this, don't we? Or do we? Do we all go separately?
We ended up having a joint all-time favourite, didn't we? Because we do both have various favourite tracks.
We do.
But our joint favourite track, should we play it?
Yeah, it's all queued up together.
Is it? Go on, you play it and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
What ho?
I think if you ever do anybody's favourite track who are into our beloved 1940s, they probably got a bit of Al Bowley in there, and that was Al Bowley and Sweet and Lovely. Might be, I suspect, it's not the track most people would think of. So I know why we like it, but you explain.
We have a favourite TV show, one of our few, and it was set in just before World War II started.
So it's late 30s.
Just before the outbreak of World War II. So it's literally 38, 39, isn't it? And it was First of the Summer Wine, and it follows the characters of Last of the Summer Wine, but in their kind of youth, in their teenage years, as they start out and they go to work, and you've got Foggy joining the, is it Territorials?
He's in the Territorial Army, and he also works for the local council, painting road signs.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful series. It's really well shot, some beautiful detailing of the 1930s, with the cobbled streets and the trams and just the furniture and the clothing. Everything is just brilliant, and they play some fantastic music, and that's the theme tune. And we just fell in love with it the minute we heard it.
I mean, if you do get a chance to see them, it's called First of the Summer Wine. There are some episodes on YouTube. Do try and look at them. And what I love about it was a TV show from the 1980s. I don't think it's been repeated on the BBC
they did
since.
Two series,
they did two series, and I don't think it ever got repeated again. So it's, we're lucky we have we have DVD of it. But what I loved about it was I was reading some articles, again, thanks to the power of the internet. When they did that series, they were able to pick up all the original clothing. So all the clothing, which there were some beautiful clothing, is all original, and all the props are fairly original, because in that period, well, our beloved 1930s, 1940s, in the 80s, really had no value. It was really in the junk stores.
I was thinking the military shops. What were they called?
Army surplus stores. They've all gone now, but yeah.
And it's Peter Sallis, who is Norman in the Last of the Summer Wine, plays the dad of Norman Clegg, the son. Yeah. So you've got the son Norman Clegg, but the dad plays. Yeah. Sorry, Norman Clegg plays the dad in Last. Oh, you know what I mean.
So
getting in a tangle.
So there you go, Sarah. That does answer that question. Now we've got another question from Sarah, aka Madam Misfit, probably the same person. Madam Misfit, she's been on a previous show, so have a look, listen through. She's amazing. She does the electro swing. She's heavily into the steampunk thing, but she really does take her inspiration from our beloved 40s. Have a listen if you don't mind us veering off our traditional tunes. It's a cracking show, and she's a really interesting and funny person to listen to. But she also asked, can we Lindy hop, a type of dance?
Yeah.
Yes, is that it? Yes.
No,
yes.
I was just thinking, yes. I'm thinking we can vaguely Lindy, can't we? We
weren't bad at it at one
lessons.
point. We took a lot of lessons, and we weren't bad at it. And you mentioned our daughter at the beginning. When she came along, we just never attended a dance since.
No, we just never.
And then we went to a festival about 3 or 4 years ago of some friends of ours, and they dragged us on the dance floor. and we tried, and we were terrible. We really were.
Yeah.
We really were bad at it. And I thought, and then that's when it dawned on me I hadn't done this for 14 years, so that's probably why.
Although, it follows us around, really, doesn't it? We went to a dance studio to learn to dance in a big group class, and then they decided to do some filming. And we ended up being on the news.
That's a real anecdote.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. It was the very first dance lesson we went to. It was a class, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the guy who was running the class managed to get some promotion. He had the local TV people there.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the TV reporter
featured us
and then interviewed us, and we're thinking I've only
been here 10 minutes.
10 minutes. I forgot all about that. And basically, we just had to blag it.
And we were doing hoppity hop.
But rock step.
That's it. That's how we were learning, wasn't it? Hoppity hop, rock step.
I was thinking, back, forward.
Hoppity hop, back step.
So does that answer your question, Madam Misfit? There you go. And do have a listen to her show. Go to harryedna.co.uk, click on the back catalogue, and you will find a show there.
And whenever we used to dance, we used to do in our head, didn't we? Hoppity hop, because that's how we were taught.
Yeah. It was true. We're frankly running out of time, and we've got more questions. We've got loads of questions to go. So I'm going to play Ever So Goosey, and we're talking about TV shows again from the 80s and how they influenced us.
Yeah.
And we both, although we weren't together, we both loved a TV show called Jeeves and Wooster, played by Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry. And this is one of their tracks from there. So it's again, TV is influencing some of our tastes, I think.
What ho?
There, I see. Now you know why we love that track. You do.
It's really jolly, and we were singing along, weren't we?
We were, because we know all the lyrics. It's because that's how I felt when we got married. I felt ever so goosey goo.
Goosey.
Yeah, when Elvis said the words.
Yeah, that's a whole other story for another show.
That was it. Graceland Chapel of Love, Las Vegas. There we go. Give them a plug. We're not even getting paid for it. We had to pay them to marry us.
And we went deluxe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
so we've got another question.
We've got another question, and I need to cough again.
Yeah,
and
it's very timely because Dave from 1940s Radio,
up in Lancashire,
says, "Are you always ill, Harry?" And I think it just
it
gave him the right answer there.
It did, yeah.
Yes.
It plays right into my favourite subject, which is I'm so ill.
Yes.
I'm so ill.
It's
and even though I was ill, you still made me lay a new half.
That wasn't this time. That was the last time.
No. Yesterday,
laid a new half.
Me and eldest son did it. We had to take out the old half and then reseal it with fire bricks. We had to reseal. We had to put in a new fire brick. That was it.
Yeah, you had to use the fire cement to
not
repair.
the half. You're right. It
was where the pan goes in the open fireplace.
But we had to bash out the old one or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it was
eldest
falling
son
out.
had to, and he had to pick it out. And so even though I was ill, he still made me work. See, everyone else gets to lie in bed and watch CBeebies, but not me.
But you had done a lot of lying in bed lately, and it was about time you got up and stopped feeling sorry for yourself and cracked on with it.
I get exactly 2 hours worth of sympathy when I'm ill.
You get a day of my sympathy, and then I need you up and about and doing stuff. But we've got a comment here from the well-dressed philosopher, which says on Instagram, which says as long as you're well, but he does like the look.
Yes, and that's because when I did the video asking for the Q&A, I said I apologised about my look because
you're beardy.
I haven't shaved for a few days, so I've got a nice beard going on. I'm thinking of growing it again because every time I grow, I usually only grow a beard when I fall ill, actually, because I don't shave, and my hair wasn't great, and I'll be honest, I didn't look good. And but I said I needed people to send in the message, and he said he liked the look, so I think it's one for Team Beard.
No,
if you ask me.
No, it's not, because you look so much older with a beard. Even everyone says, gosh, you look younger the minute you shave it off.
Yes, but I don't want to look young. I want to look like a dapper dude from the 1940s.
Yeah, but the last time you had a beard, it just looked shaggy. It was awful.
Yeah, you see, but you forget, if I'm out there, I would bet you I'd have an invitation to dance.
What ho?
So, time for the last question, and we've really got to fly with this one. It's
from us.
It's from us.
To each other.
It's from you to me, but
and
I'll
me
ask
to
you
you
first.
And vice versa.
Out of all the events that you've done, what's your favourite?
See, I was stuck on this one, and we're having a bit of a debate, because we run our own events, and which was our favourite event that we ran or were like a major part of in the organisation, or was it one that we attended and just enjoyed? We just went as a punter. So which do you reckon? Or shall I do both?
You do both.
As a punter, it was... it doesn't run anymore. It was a multi-period event, so everything from Stone Age right the way up to 1980s, I think it was.
No, I thought the Second World War was the last thing.
They went even further.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. They got. I didn't want to go into it because they got some flack over it because it was in the 90s and it was too modern, and I think some people still had some. And it was called. It was originally called Festival of History, and then it was called History Live, and it was a multi-period event, the really big one, probably the biggest in Europe, I think it was at the time.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
Wasn't it?
And we'd done a lot of periods there. We talked at the beginning, didn't we? We did English Civil War there.
But we bumped into a lot of our old reenacting mates. Like we said, we hung out with a Roman and somebody from the German.
I remember waking up in the middle of the medieval camp after a night of jolly making.
Yes.
And then having to try and sneak out in my First World War uniform without the public spotting that in the middle of this encampment.
With your bacon sandwich and your cup of coffee.
So that was one that somebody else put on, and we were just participants.
But it was a brilliant event to be part of.
And then as our own, I really loved when we did the Edna's Vintage Nightclub.
Yeah.
And I liked we did a thing called Vintage at Goodwood. Again, that doesn't run, but we were the curators of the 1940s element of that. It was again a Well, it was everything from the 40s, 50s, 60s and 70s. Yeah. Or even at 80s, didn't it? They even did 80s. They did a rave thing, didn't they?
Yeah,
with the
that's right.
You remember? They did a rave.
Yeah, that was good fun.
That was good.
I think for me, I think you're right. I think History Live I just remember I did a talk on the home front and I was talking about the wartime kitchen. And I was shouting over St. George fighting the dragon in an arena and then a World War I biplane dogfight overhead. And you just thought, this is so surreal, but also amazing at the same time. And I think one of my other favourites when you were talking... it was Kentwell Hall. They were good fun when you could... Again, one we immersed... It's one we were reenacting...
We were participants rather than organising.
I did Land Army, and I totally immersed myself in being a land girl because I was taught to drive the tractor.
And you were of the correct age at that point.
I was the correct age, and I fitted into the uniform. And but
the uniform that now only our daughter fits in.
I know, it's amazing. And I did stooking, and we built what's the big hay straw thing called? The haystack. And it was just really immersive but brilliant because you really worked hard.
It was a working farm museum, wasn't it? And they set the whole period back to the 1940s.
And there was nothing modern at all, and we ate rabbit stew literally caught and
and it lived the part as it was like a
Do you know the first thing we did when we left? We stopped off a station, didn't we? A garage and had a Mars bar because we were craving sugar.
Yeah, happy days. We got to go. We got to go because we've run out. I'm sorry. No. I wanted to talk more about that, but we obviously got it wrong.
Beaten by time.
We got beaten by time. So it's a quick toodle pip from me
and a tinkety tonk from me.
What ho!